Hi, I'm Chris from SolarFast, and today I'm going to be talking to you all about inverters. I'm going to be telling you about the different types of inverters, I'm going to be telling you how to understand the information you're given about inverters, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the different brands of inverters so you can make the right choice about which inverter is best for you. Did you know that you can save up to 80% of your energy bills with a SolarFast system? So what is an inverter then? Well, it's a box that turns one type of electricity into another type of electricity. So in your house, you will have AC electricity. What that means is alternating current. It's got a voltage which goes up and down across zero 50 times a second. Now, that's great for your house, it's nice and safe, and it works really well. And it's how all our electricity works. But it's not what comes from panels and batteries. That is DC electricity, or direct current electricity. It stays at fairly constant voltage the whole time. It doesn't dip like this. Now, if you try and put that electricity straight into your house, it's not going to work. It's going to damage your appliances. So you need some sort of box to change it from DC electricity to AC electricity. And that's where the inverter comes in. Anytime you're connecting batteries or solar panels to your house, you're going to need an inverter so you can convert that DC electricity from the panels and the battery into AC electricity so it'll work in your house. There are 4 different types of inverter that you need to be aware of. You've got string inverters, hybrid inverters, AC inverters, and microinverters. They've each got their own unique purpose and reason why you choose them. So I'm going to run through each of them now and tell you what their uses are. So first of all here, I've got with me a solid string inverter. Now, string in string inverter refers to the line of panels which connect to it. So a string inverter is just designed for one job and one job only, and that is to take electricity from solar panels and to turn it into AC electricity for the house. That is its only purpose, and that is all it's designed to do. So it will just have some connections on the bottom that panels go into, and then another connection which sends the electricity to the house. You can't connect batteries to it, you can't connect any other funky gizmos to it. It is just for panels. So this beast I've got with me here is a hybrid inverter. It's a Lux hybrid inverter. Now, hybrid inverters are called that name because there's 2 devices in one. So in a nutshell, they're designed to connect with batteries and with panels. So you can start storing your electricity and using it when you need it. Now, they're a lot bigger because they've got a device for inverting the electricity from your panels into AC for your house, as well as another device called a DC to DC converter for taking the higher voltage from the panels and converting it into a lower voltage to charge your batteries. What that means is you might have a hybrid inverter like this, which is rated at 3.6 kilowatts. So that means it can send up to 3.6 kilowatts at once to the house. But that's not all it can do. This inverter can actually take 7 kilowatts of solar at any one time, because what it can do is simultaneously send about 3.6 kilowatts of solar to the house. And it can take another 2.4 kilowatts, or a combination of those numbers, and charge the batteries, provided they're not full, at the same time. So you're actually making use of 7 kilowatts of solar at once. Now this is relevant because a lot of people ask us, right, so I've got 6 kilowatts of solar. Why am I only getting a 3.645 kilowatt inverter? Well, it's because 3.6 or whatever kilowatts is not all it can make use of. It can use more electricity than that to start charging your batteries at the same time. So you could be making use of 7 kilowatts of solar from just a 3.6 kilowatt inverter. Great devices. Next up, we've got an AC inverter. So this is a typical example of an AC inverter. This is a Lux AC inverter. Now, what they're designed for is just batteries. So AC inverters have no connection for panels, they're just for batteries. You might be wondering, why on earth would you need batteries if you're not having panels? What's going to charge them up? Well, the answer is you're going to be charging them up from the grid. Now, how does that work? Well, you're going to have some sort of cheap electricity tariff from which you charge those batteries up. Then you'll be able to use them when your electricity is more expensive. We're going to have a whole video on that later on. Now, This is basically a thinner version of the hybrid inverter that I showed you before, because it's just one half of it. It's just the part that takes electricity and turns it into electricity for the batteries. There's nothing to do with panels in here, which is why it looks a bit thinner. The other thing you might be wondering is, why is it called an AC inverter? Didn't you say that all inverters are supposed to turn electricity into AC for the house? Well, yes, but that's not why it's called an AC inverter. It's called an AC inverter because it connects to the grid side of your house. It connects to the normal AC side of your house. Now, it has a little clamp on it to measure when you are importing from the grid and when you are sending electricity back to the grid. So it knows when to charge the batteries and when to discharge the batteries. And you can think of it a little bit like plugging any other battery into your house, just like plugging in a laptop battery, plugging in an electric car, plugging in your phone to charge at night. It's the same thing. You charge it up, you take electricity when it's cheap from the grid, and then you use it when electricity is more expensive, so you don't have to take anything from the grid during those times. The other reason why you might have an AC inverter is because you've already got a solar system from back in the day when we were only using string inverters like I talked about before. Maybe you've got the feed-in tariff and all you've got is panels and you don't get a choice of when to use the electricity from those panels and you want to add batteries on. You don't really want to be touching anything else on the system, you just want to add batteries. Well, these are great for that because they can be completely separate to the rest of your solar system other than they know how much you're generating and they will just take that electricity when you've got too much solar and charge the batteries up. But it won't affect your feed-in tariff, it won't mess about with your original system. Now, last but not least, we've got microinverters. Not to be confused with solar optimizers, which you use for shading or other different situations like that. Microinverters are basically little boxes which connect underneath the panel, hidden away on your roof, and they take the electricity from each individual panel and they turn it into AC electricity for your house straight away. So everything that's coming off your roof is going to be AC electricity. You don't need to do anything more with it. Now, why are they so great? Well, first of all, if you haven't got much room in the house to put an inverter, they're great because you don't need anywhere to put the inverter. Secondly, they're also brilliant for things like ground mount systems. Now, because DC electricity stays at a constant voltage, it's a little bit dangerous to have underground. You can't have it coming from the panels to the house with an inverter in the house. What can you do instead? Well, take AC electricity from the panels and take it to the house, and then it's done with. That's where microinverters come in, because you can just have a microinverter on every single panel in your garden going underground to your house nice and neatly and straight to feed your house or feed the grid. No other equipment necessary. Now, a lot of companies are going to be giving you a whole data sheet to show you all the different parameters and details and data about all the equipment that you're given, including the inverters. And it will look something like this. Now, it looks quite overwhelming. There's a lot of information there. So I'm going to give you a bit of a cheat. You only really need to look at 3 parts of it. Look at the max DC input, the AC output, and the battery discharge rate if you've got a hybrid inverter. That's all you really need to look at. So I'm going to tell you about those 3 parts and why they're important. So first of all, you got the max DC input. Now, that tells you what the maximum amount of power is from the panels that you can have going into that inverter, that it can actually do something with. It's not going to start damaging it or anything like that if you put in more than that. It just means that you're not going to get the savings and the generation that you want out of it because it's going to have to cut it down. So with that information, it's basically telling you the maximum number of panels you can have on that inverter. So for example, with this one, you've got 7,000 watts. So what you want to do is you want to take the maximum power from one panel. So for example, the panels we're doing now are 410 watts. And you take that maximum DC input and you're just doing 7,000 divided by 410. And then you round that number down and that tells you how many panels is the maximum number that you can have on this inverter. So the second thing we got is the maximum AC output of the inverter. And I'd say this is probably the bit that is most commonly misunderstood because people think that that is telling you the maximum amount of power you can have from the panels that you can put in. Now that's not true, especially with hybrid inverters, as I said before. You can actually put 7,000 watts of electricity from the panels into this inverter and it can do something with it. But it's only going to give you up to 3.6 kilowatts to the house. And the rest of it is going to be used to charge the batteries as long as they're not full. So this maximum AC output, that is telling you how much electricity at once you can send to the house. Now, it's really important to get that right so that you are not importing from the grid when you don't need to be. I'll give you an example. If you've got a 3.6 kilowatt inverter and you want to run a 7 kilowatt wall box for your electric vehicle from this inverter, you're going to be disappointed because the maximum amount of electricity it can give you is 3.6 kilowatts. So where's the rest coming from? It's going to have to come from the grid, regardless of how much you're generating, regardless of how much electricity you've got left in those batteries. The maximum it can give you is 3.6 kilowatts. So for that situation, you're probably going to want to have a bigger inverter. Now, the last thing we've got here is the battery discharge rate. Now, that's really important because that tells you how much power you can take from the batteries at any one time and invert it to AC electricity for the house. Now, in this situation, this inverter can discharge the batteries at 3,600 watts. In other words, 3.6 kilowatts. So it can take as much as it's able to invert and from the batteries and turn that into AC electricity for the house. Now, it might not always be the case, so be careful with that. You've got quite a lot of 6, 7 kilowatt inverters, but they can only discharge the batteries at up to 4 kilowatts or sometimes even less. So it might be the case that you've got a whole 7 kilowatt inverter, and when the panels aren't generating, the maximum it's going to be able to give you is 4 kilowatts. So make sure you're thinking about what kind of loads you've got in the house. If you're an all electric house with an electric oven and all these kind of things, you'll probably need a bigger inverter, regardless of how many panels you've got. Now, the last thing I want to say about this is, why would you choose a smaller inverter when a bigger inverter is just capable of more? It's not really going to be to do with price because they're not that different in price. And the secret there is the G99 or DNO application or grid application or whatever you might have heard of it as. Now, all grids in the UK, they say that you can install up to 3.6 kilowatts of generation module in your house before you have to apply to them first to get permission. So that's why you see so many 3.6 kilowatt inverters about. Now, that's not to do with the amount of panels you've got on your roof. That's to do with the inverter that you've got in the house. So anything more than 3.6 kilowatts, it's actually 3.68 kilowatts, you're going to have to apply for a grid approval before you install that solar, that inverter. Which is fine, it doesn't take that long normally, but it's just possibly an extra expense, definitely an extra weight that you're going to have, which if you don't need it, it's just not worth waiting for. So the final thing I want to talk about is different brands of inverters. You've got so many brands of inverters now. I'll give you some examples. Solis, like I showed you at the beginning, Lux, Growatt, Fronius, SolarEdge, so many different brands of inverters. So before you start getting too caught up in that, I'll tell you a little secret. They're pretty much all the same. Well, that's not really true, but you don't need to worry so much about the brand. Focus on the things I talked about before. Are you going to get enough AC electricity to the house? Is it going to be able to connect enough panels for you? Are you going to be able to discharge the batteries fast enough to supply the loads in your house? Now, there's a couple of things to be aware of still. If you choose certain brands of inverters, such as SolarEdge or Huawei, they'll only work with certain equipment. For example, SolarEdge, you have to have SolarEdge optimizers with every panel. Now that's great because they show you all different parameters of what your panels do, but it starts to really rack up in price. So if that's not really something of interest to you, you probably want to stay clear of those brands. The other thing you might want to think about is making sure that you're actually going to be able to get them delivered to your house and installed within a reasonable amount of time. Certain brands have a much quicker delivery time than others, or certain manufacturers or certain installers will have way more of a certain brand of inverter in stock than others. For For example, the Lux inverters that I showed you earlier, really quick to get in stock, within a few days maximum, and most people who have those inverters, us included, will have loads of them in stock. So it means you don't have to wait ages for your install. Whereas other brands that I mentioned, you might have to wait quite a long time for an install because you might have to wait a long time before they come back in stock. So it's just worth checking that with your installer. Have you got it in stock? Is it something that you can get nice and quickly for me? Because I want to start saving money now.